with the guru in the house to take us through what is this all about. As we know, or as we have been reading, the summit emphasized the importance of equipping employees with knowledge and expertise needed to thrive in a green economy. So before I continue, I'm checking whether my boss executive director is on call for her to give her welcoming remarks, but no, can't see her. So that means we'll continue. Maybe she'll join us later to close the webinar. So allow me to invite the speaker of today. Some of you are familiar with him. He has interacted with some of you in one way or another, and is one of us. He's also a HR professional, and that means he understands these things so well. So having one of us taking us through this topic is very important. To give a brief introduction to Daktari, I know his profile is so wide, I might not read everything or I might not say everything. Dr. Francis Kangure, PhD, is a director, Institutional Performance Improvement Unit, Power Africa, EAEP. He'll tell us more about that. About education, I will allow him to tell us more about that because the list is big. I might not say everything. Dr. Kangure is the award winner of the year 2022 IHRM, HR Director of the Year award in Kenya. He currently serves as the Director for Institutional Performance Improvement Unit under the USAID-funded Power Africa East African Energy Program. Dr. Kangure is a HR professional who has conducted 2 transformational studies to climate adoption and mitigation. That alone tells you that we are having the right person to take us through today's topic. So Dr. Kangure is also a postdoctoral visiting researcher at Strathmore University, focusing on capacity and skills development for climate change, adoption, and mitigation. Dr. Kangure is a member of the Society for Human Resource Management in the United States, the Institute of Human Resource Management in Kenya, and also a member of Institute of Directors in Kenya. He's also a former peer reviewer for the Commission for University Education in Kenya. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Kangure to take us through today's session. Let's welcome Dr. Kangure. Can clap, can say something, but still on our chat box, I'm not seeing anything. I'm wondering what is happening. And also to allow ourselves that we'll be using the chat box, the Q&A for questions. Any questions, please direct them to questions Q&A chat box. Then we can chat on this other side so that we don't mix two. Otherwise, we might not get your questions right. So thank you so much. Allow me to welcome Dr. Kangure to take us through this session. Thank you so much. Karibu sana, Dr. Kangure.
Thank you very much, Milka. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you. We can.
All right. Thank you so much. And I want to take this opportunity actually to welcome all of you to this short webinar. We'll make it brief. The purpose for this webinar is to excite the human resource professionals, me and you, to participate in the most current debate on climate change. And as you know, our profession is so critical and important because we serve all other professionals. And therefore, a topic like this one is of great interest to us. And personally, I have taken a lot of interest on studies around green jobs, green energy transition, greening the economy. My line of course is human resource management, so I try to relate as much as possible to human resource management practice. So this is a current and topical issue on human resource management that all of us should take a keen interest. And when it is a webinar like this one, is to invite all of us to this debate to share ideas. I'm not an expert in any way. I am here to facilitate a discussion so that all of us can be able to contribute. Again, welcome all of you. And I need to do a bit of further intro. I think Milka did say that I work for Power Africa, East Africa Energy Program. EAP stands for East Africa Energy Program. And this is a program that supports the energy sector in Kenya and Eastern Africa to improve in terms of performance, to be able to transition to renewable energy technologies, and to be able to support institutional performance improvement. So that's what I do, and mainly I support HR best practices and capacity building for energy sector in Power Africa. I'll have a short presentation since I always find it useful to use a PowerPoint sometimes because it provides some details that you may not be able to actually highlight in voice. So our today's topic is actually driving green growth for climate action. And here we are going to look at the role of human resource professionals in developing green talents and green skills. And we are going to break this down so that all of us can be able to understand what we mean by supporting climate action through development of green skills and green talents. Okay, and this is important. One of the most important role for a HR professional, you and me, is to ensure that the organization has the right culture, has the right people with the right skills, and these people are properly placed to be able to perform. And therefore, when you think about driving green growth for climate adaptation and the mitigation, then we are at the center because we are in charge of people. Okay, and it is the people who are driving the green growth. And just to mention before we start, it was not by coincidence that Kenya was chosen for Africa for the very first Africa Climate Summit. Is because Kenya is a set pacer in greening the economy. As we speak, about over 95% of the electricity that we use in Kenya is from renewable sources. We are using a lot of energy from hydro, geothermal, wind, and solar. So we are leading in Africa in terms of generation of renewable energy. And therefore, this climate summit in Nairobi was very timely. Let me give you a bit of a context. If you think about climate change today, is one of the most pressing problems in the world today. And it is big, it is critical. And if you look across the world, there is phenomena that you can be able to pick to show that we are moving towards a very bad place where climate change is going to affect all of us, the way we live, the way we work. And climate change is also affecting our health because of the changes in climatic conditions. One of the most interesting scenarios is that there is also a relationship between pandemics and climate change. When climate changes, animals migrate, insects migrate. When they migrate, they carry with them microbes. And therefore, the microbes transform and they become pandemics that are very difficult to track for the scientists. So it's a real serious issue. And when we think about our role as human resource managers, one of the most important things that we do is to look at the health of the human capital that we work with. And you can already see a relationship between health and climate change. Because sometimes when we talk about climate change, we think it's a far-fetched idea. No, it's a reality that is affecting all of us, and it is affecting our profession. Let me give you another example. When there are changes in climatic conditions, sometimes it is too hot or it is too cold, people are not productive. When it is too cold, people are not productive. When it is too hot again, people are not productive for various reasons. I'm talking about this so that you can see a very clear relationship between climate change and the work that we do as HR professionals. The other thing, climate change, if we had to define it, is a long-term shift, okay, in the weather patterns, okay, in the temperatures, and we are going to pick a few examples so that we can be able to break this down further. One of the most important things that we look at when we are looking at climate change is emission of greenhouse gas emissions, carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, out of burning of fossil fuels and poor disposal of hazardous equipments and chemicals, okay? That is what is destroying the environment. You think about it further, who emits and who burns the fossil fuels? Who disposes hazardous chemicals and equipments into the environment? These are the people that we work with. These are the people that we employ, all right? Now, if you look at the effects, and we have seen this in various parts of the world, is that we have experienced temperatures rising, increasing, okay? Sea ice decreasing and water levels increasing, going up, okay? Glaciers melting, sea levels rising as a result of the two issues that I have just mentioned, okay? And all this brings a lot of negative impact. And one of them, and we have experienced this in our own country, in Kenya, is more droughts. What happens when there is drought? Economic activities are hampered with, there is hunger, we have unpredictable seasons, and so on and so forth. These are very serious effects. Lack of food, poverty, economic is not developing as it should due to the effects of climate change, pandemics, and so on and so forth. So we are talking about very serious issues when we are talking about climate change. Now, to our topic of the day. When we talk about a green job, and I know that most of us are conversant with the term, we are just defining it so that we can have a framework in which to have the discussion. I borrowed from the International Labour Organization, and the International Labour Organization has done a lot of work on green jobs, green economy, green energy transition, and so on and so forth. The definition by the International Labour Organization is that green jobs are decent jobs in any economic sector, whether energy, agriculture, construction, wherever. And these jobs must contribute to preserving, restoring, enhancing the environmental quality. By doing what? Improving energy, raw materials, and water efficiency. So any job that supports environmental conservation, that brings about sustainability by bringing efficiency in the utilization of raw materials like water, that is a green job. And here now we start to think about our role as human resource managers. We manage performance. And when we are managing performance, one of the most important things that we should look at when we are coming up with key performance indicators and targets is how well the resources in the organization are utilized. Are they utilized efficiently? Okay. Are we preserving the little resources that we have? Are we able to recycle? And those are the skills that we will be talking about in the next few slides. So any job that is restoring, enhancing, creating sustainability is a green job. Okay. Another criteria by International Labour Organization, this is also important, is the issue of the job being decent. I need to emphasize this because every human being needs to live in dignity. And in the workplace, one of the things that we talk about is workers' rights, decent work, payment of a salary that will enable our employees to live a decent life. So a job that does not meet the category of a decent job according to ILO, then it falls short of being a green job. So all these three conditions create what we call a green job. Employment in a production of green products and services, the job is decent, and also employment in environmentally friendly processes. I want to give us a few examples just to break it down. The list is not exhaustive. These are just examples. The people who install solar PV panels, that's a green job. They're installing solar to produce renewable energy. Okay, that's a green job. Environmental scientists who support us to preserve our trees, our forests, to plant more trees, to conserve the environment, those are green jobs. People who dispose hazardous materials from our environment, including carbon capture, people who reduce the amount of carbon in our environment, that's a green job. People who work in wind turbine service, technicians. I know a few of you have seen what we call windmills, like the ones in Gong, the wind farm that produces wind energy. That's renewable energy because we don't use anything else apart from wind to produce energy. So professionals who are experienced in installation of wind turbines, maintenance, and so on, and the production as well as a green job. Environmental engineers, environmental protection technicians, conservation scientists, and so on and so forth. These are examples of green jobs, but there are many. In this team, I know there are people who are professionals, but they are also teaching, either in colleges, universities, and so on. They teach environmental science or about sustainability, or what I'm talking about today. Today, I'm doing a green job, talking about environmental conservation and climate action. So there is a provided just example. And I want to give a further example. If you employ a driver who is driving an electric vehicle, that's a green job. You employ a driver who is driving a lorry that is using petrol, that job is not green, because what is really harming our environment is burning of fossil fuels. All right. Now, further to this, the green jobs reduce environmental impacts by improving efficiency. And you need to start now thinking very critically. The people that you employ in your organization, are they supporting you to improve efficiency, proper energy management systems, proper use of water, conserving water within the environment, proper utilization of raw materials, including recycling, okay? Minimizing and avoiding all forms of waste and pollution, okay? Decarbonizing the economy and limiting the greenhouse gas emissions. You may ask me, what do we mean by decarbonizing the economy? The more carbon is released into the environment, the more the environment gets destroyed. You may have heard about this term, net zero. Net zero means that we are not increasing carbon in the environment beyond the levels that the nature can be able to sustain. So the more we release carbon into the environment, the more we are destroying our environment. So we need to have more activities that's actually decarbonize and reduce the amount of carbon that is released into the environment, okay? Protecting the ecosystems and biodiversity, supporting and contributing to adaptation and climate change effects. This is what a green job does, all this. Creating sustainability, efficiency, conservation, reducing waste, promoting recycling, okay, adapting to technologies that preserve the environment. And therefore, when we talk about green skills, then what are we talking about? What are those skills? And when we talk about green talents, what are we talking about? So that as HR professionals, when we are recruiting people in our environment, in our workplace, we should be on the lookout for green talents, people who are bringing talents that will help us to fight against the negative effects of climate change. All right. Now let me define what a green talent is. Somebody with a green talent is someone with at least one skill or a set of skills that have been listed by experts as green. And this is the capacity and ability to sustain, preserve, restore our environment. And I'm going to give an example of set of skills. That's people should have, especially people who are working in technical organizations, could be energy, construction, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. What are these green skills that we are talking about? Okay, so it is someone with at least a set of listed profiles by our experts that classify a skill or a talent as green. Then green skills are abilities or knowledge a worker can use to prevent, monitor, clean up the pollution, and optimize sustainability of our environment, okay? By using the resources that you have been provided with more efficiently. For example, if you are working with a cleaner who cleans the office every morning, how well are they utilizing the scarce water resources that we have? How carefully do they dispose hazardous items and equipments and chemicals that can be harmful to the environment? Are they able to recycle and reuse some of the materials and the equipment that they have been provided with so that we are not exploiting the raw materials more to produce more items, equipments, and so on and so forth? All right? So people who work to sustain the environment, people who work in renewable energy, people who support environmental awareness, people who support occupational health and safety within our organizations, those are talents, those are skills that we can consider to be green. Part of this could also include corporate social responsibility, because I know a number of organizations get involved in climate action, in creating awareness, in planting trees, okay, and so on and so forth. So now we, as human resource professionals, we have three terms, and these are great terms that we need to put in our mind. A green job, what is it? How does it contribute to climate action? A green skill, what's a green skill? How can I be on the lookout for a green skill within our employees? How can I be able to reward somebody with a green talent? So those are important terminologies: green jobs, green skills, green talents. So that's what we are discussing today. I mentioned that there is a list or a taxonomy of green skills and green talents have been identified. One of the organizations, and that is the European Commission, has published a taxonomy and a classification of what can be termed as a green skill, okay? And this has been used to support transition to greening the economy. Those are the skills. This document is European Skills, Competencies, Qualification, and Occupations. In short, it's called ESCO. And it has been able to identify 381 skills that can be considered green, 185 knowledge concepts, and the 5 transversal skills considered most relevant in the labor market today. And actually, these are the skills of the future. The entire world is transitioning. Everybody is worried about the climate change. Businesses and financial development organizations are on the lookout for those organizations with good practices that are going to save our world, because we are in a critical point. So the skills of the future are green skills. Part of what we require as green skills are technological skills, ability to use technology to work online and so forth and so forth and so on, as to give that as an example. All right. So there is a classification system for these skills. And in every set of careers, you can be able to map out some skills that are relevant and important for that specific profession or career. All right. Just as an example, and I borrowed this from the European Commission and the classification for the skills that we have mentioned. They have developed a green skills framework for climate action and gender empowerment. They did not want to leave out gender empowerment because gender is a major issue today. Okay, so as we transition, we should not leave a segment of our population behind. There are those skills for green jobs. Okay, there are also green life skills, what you should have on day-to-day basis to be able to navigate the transition. And there are skills for a green transformation. Okay, and this document has provided a list for specific skills that we should have to be able to transition. And as I said, these skills cut across. They are not for engineers. They are not for environmental scientists. They are for us also, human resource managers, if you look at this list. If you look at the skills that are aimed to fulfilling the requirement of green jobs and supporting the transition to a low carbon economy, the specific capabilities are business skills, so that you can be able to develop good business practices that support green energy transition in whatever industry that you are in. Skills that can use the resources more efficiently and sustainably, data analytics skills, engineering skills, entrepreneurial skills, environmental and ecosystem management skills, environmental knowledge and awareness. Okay, ICT, very important. Ability to work online is a critical specific skill that we all need. Instead of traveling all the time using the vehicles emitting carbon dioxide into the environment, when I'm making this presentation from where I'm sitting, I have been able to save extra carbon emission into the environment. The same with all of us by joining this activity online. Then there are also generic capacities, and this is what we are calling life skills, ability to adopt. Things are changing. How am I able to adopt to a green economy, to a transformed economy, to a new organization? Okay, collaborative thinking, knowing that my small contribution into the climate action means a lot for the entire country, for the entire world. Communication skills. You see, these are common skills that we know, but we should be able to relate this with the transition that we are talking about. Okay, creativity, flexibility, growth mindset. Okay, innovation skills. In this green energy transformation, we need a lot of people to innovate. So if you are employing somebody with the capability to innovate, these are the people you can use to create more sustainable environment in the workplace. And to come up with better ideas on how well we can be able to recycle the materials that we are using in our organization. All right, open-mindedness, problem solving, resilience, strategic thinking, so that when I'm working in an organization, I think and see the bigger picture on how the organization is going to support the entire ecosystem for climate adaptation. Transformative capabilities, ability to analyze, okay, ability to build coalition and to take collective actions. Like what we need to do, the entire world, is actually to take collective action to tackle the issues of climate change. And that is why African states came together so that they can have a bargaining table, a bargaining power at the table when issues of climate change, mitigation and adaptation are being discussed. Africa should be in the forefront. We contribute the least greenhouse emissions into the environment, but we bear the brunt of the negative effects of climate change. That is why African leaders want to have a voice in the discussions around climate change. All right. So ability to work collaboratively, to build a coalition, to provide environmental stewardship, okay, to anticipate as a leader, as a HR professional, what we need in our organization for tomorrow to be able to transition our economy to a green economy, to be able to transition our organizations to a green organization. So there are so many practices that we can be able to adopt to be able to transition our organizations to green organizations and to be able to transform our environment so that we can save our world from what is happening today. Okay, these are just examples. And this opens a forum for us to have further discussions on what we can do as HR professionals to support green skills and green talents. Actually, we should be on the lookout among our employees. One of the reward systems that we can be able to introduce is to identify somebody with a green talent that is going to transform our environment. All right? There is something else that is so interesting, and we need also to think about it. In the world population of about 8 billion people, in Africa, we are about 1.4. Africa is growing and growing very, very, very fast. So we have a huge human capital that is coming into the market. Majority of Africans are young people. Actually, 70% of Africans are below the age of 30. So this is where we have human capital. This is where we can be able to build a lot of talents and skills for the future to be able to change the world, okay? About 3 billion people are in employment like you and me. So what can we do as HR practitioners? We need to promote environmental sustainability and a just transition towards a carbon neutral economies. By making sure that we create awareness, we employ people who are resilient, who are adaptive, people we can train and retrain so that they can be able to adapt to the new normal. People who can be able to help our organizations transition to green organization. People who can be able to promote positive culture that is going to support climate action. That is our role. So we need to identify where the job opportunities are and how to shift workers into the new sectors, including green and digital economies. And we have a big role to develop skills so that we can be able to promote better employment practices that support green economy transition. All right, these numbers are important because if 3 billion people are working in the world today as we sit here, what are they doing? Are they saving the environment? Are they emitting more carbon to the environment? Are they releasing more greenhouse gas into the environment? Okay. Something else, and this is important, as we talk about developing talents, think about Africa, and in particular sub-Saharan Africa. The World Bank in 2019 conducted a research, and I found this research to be quite interesting. The key issue, the key question in this research was, what is the most pressing problem in Africa today? And there were a list of things that were in the questionnaire, and the World Bank wanted to identify the most pressing problem in Africa today. Is it unemployment, health, education, infrastructure, poverty, wherever, crime, lack of electricity, corruption, housing, whatever. The most pressing problem in Africa today, as we speak, in sub-Saharan Africa, to be specific, is unemployment at about 80%. So if people are not going to develop the relevant skills for a green economy, this problem will continue to persist because there are jobs, but we do not have the right skills. That is why unemployment is high. You might even find graduates who come from the universities. When they are looking for jobs, then they find that they do not have practical, relevant skills that we need as HR practitioners for them to be able to perform. So we have a role to play here to be able to transform our education and curriculum so that people can get the relevant right skills to be able to work. And this is how we are going to reduce unemployment. This is a major problem, is a leading problem in Africa. The second one is health, third one, education. And you can see the list. Now, with a population of 70%, as I mentioned, being under the age of 30, there is an urgent need to build the relevant skills for our young people so that they can be able to take up a critical role in socioeconomic activities as we are facing as Africans. And the solutions are within us because we know what we need to do to be able to transform our economy. And human resource management practice is in the center of this. And this is to encourage all of us to think beyond the day-to-day running of the organization, but to think and see the bigger picture of our bigger contribution to the world today. Okay, so we should be able to link our business activities to job creation. And one of the ways to create jobs is to create skills, to support the people that we are working with to grow, for them to get the relevant skills for the job market. That is how we will be able to attract investments in our country because we have superior skills. We are able to support the environment, and therefore investors are interested to come invest in the country and create more jobs. Okay. When people access jobs and they have increased incomes, we are going to accelerate our economic development. We are going to support more transition to a greener economy that is bigger, that creates more opportunities for all of us. Okay, so green economy, green energy transition, green agriculture transition, e-mobility, talk about anything that is green, is a key economic driver that will create millions of jobs for our young people in the country and the region. So you see now, our role as human resource professionals is bigger sometimes than we think. We have been bestowed with a noble, critical, bigger role to build human capital, to support green economy, to support transition, to reduce the negative impact of climate change. If you have some questions or comments, I'll be happy to look at the chat box at some point so that we can make this a discussion. Okay. I know we have the Institute of Human Resource Management have been leading a debate, and a quite exciting debate on green human resource management. And basically, this is what we are talking about today. And the green human resource management basically is the use of the policies that we develop to support sustainable use of resources. And we have mentioned this. Okay. And to promote environmental sustainability. Okay. Green human resource management is responsible for creating green workforce. We cannot be able to create green workforce if we are not able to develop green skills, green talents. We should be able to identify them, those green talents, green skills, during the hiring process. These green talents, we should be able to identify them early and reward them so that we can be able to encourage transition and for people to get the relevant skills. So green human resource management is just about creating policies that are effective to sustain our environment and to promote environmental awareness and sustainability. Okay, and therefore, as HR professionals, as I mentioned, we are in charge of resources and we are in charge of developing the skills that are relevant for green human resource management. And practically, how can we do this? How can we do this? If you look at green human resource management practices, how can we practically be able to do this? What practices can we adopt so that we can say, actually, we are supporting green HR? If you are performing job analysis, you should be able to include environmental dimension in the job description, in the level of effort, in the job compensable factors. That somebody who is able to recycle, somebody who is able to use resources more sustainably, somebody who is able to create awareness on climate change, somebody who is able to install solar, create more energy, sustainable energy management systems in the organization, gets a superior position or superior recognition. We should be able to include green competencies as a very special component when we are advertising for jobs, when you are coming up with a job specification. That is how we started to green a human resource management practice. All right. During the recruitment, we should be able to include environmental criteria in the recruitment messages. Okay, when we are advertising, we are able to say people who have a background or skills in 1, 2, 3 are encouraged to apply for this job. People who have previously worked in an organization that is supporting environmental sustainability, those are the people actually we are looking for. If you are looking for a driver, you can say we encourage drivers who have previously driven electric motor vehicles to apply. Okay, now you start promoting green HR management. Okay, and also to communicate employers' concern for greening our environment, for greening our organization and our economies. Okay, then during the selection, carefully be looking for those skills and talents that will help the organization to be more sustainable. Okay, select applicants who have been engaging in greening the economy. Okay, even in their private life, you can ask somebody, how do you run your kitchen garden, for example? If they are running it more sustainably, then you know this is a person who understands environmental conservation. Okay, somebody who tells you have a kitchen garden and mine is purely organic farming, that tells you something. Okay, during induction, it is important to create awareness for the people that you have recruited into the organization, so that right in the beginning they know you don't leave taps running, not because we are going to pay more bills. It's because we need to conserve scarce water. People say that water is scarce. It is actually very scarce. And we cannot continue exploiting more underground water because it also interferes with the ecosystem. So we have to conserve and use carefully what we have. Okay. So during induction, it's important to raise some of those issues, those that employees are aware. Develop programs that will promote green citizenship behavior with the new employees, with the current employees, so that you can put the right culture in the organization. Training, like what we are doing today, is very impactful when you train people to create awareness and for them to be able to know the right practices for us to be able to support our environment. All right. The other thing is performance management. Our pet subject as human resource managers. We want people who can perform and people who can deliver. Now we need to think deeper. People have achieved the results. We have higher profitability. At what impact to our environment? We should be able to balance our tools for performance to include sustainability and environmental conservation. That would be a very important criteria for us to start greening our economy. Yes, you have used resources to produce a certain amount of profit, but at what cost? How much did you use to produce how much? How far did you go to destroy our environment for us to attain this level of profits? All right. We should also be able to include separate components to show progress towards greening our environment, our organization, our workplace, our country, our profession. Reward system. Reward people who are able to show talents in greening your environment, your organization, your workplace, and the people who are able to encourage other people to conserve whatever little that we have as resources. Okay, even provide financial incentives for people who show initiative. All right, give non-financial rewards as well, and the praises, and recognize people who support greening activities in your organization. The last one is very sensitive. We always talk about discipline management, and you know this is a sensitive topic across. So how can you introduce a better disciplinary management system that supports greening your organization? We have to start by developing rules, code of conduct. When we are developing the code of conduct and we are talking about anti-corruption, when we are talking about sexual harassment, let us introduce the issues around environment in the code of conduct. And you can start by the simple things that you can identify with in your environment that you think that are destroying your workplace, destroying the environment, or they are harmful. Okay. So you can be able to come up with rules, code of conduct, policies around greening your environment so that you punish the negative behaviors and encourage the right behavior that are going to transform the organization and build the right culture. And they should be progressive, okay? Should be progressive. And the people who violate those rules that are supposed to support our sustainability should not go scot-free. All right? This list is not exhaustive. These are examples. But if we think further, what can we do as human resource professionals to really promote greening our workplace? Promoting the right culture. Okay. Creating awareness. Building a coalition of people who understand what is happening in the world today and taking personal and collective concern. It is critical, it is important. I know we are all concerned about our organization, the way they perform, the way we retain discipline, the level of skills. One additional skill, very important, is a green skill across all the professions in our organization. All right? steps that you could follow for developing green skills and talents. Gain executive buy-in. How do you gain buy-in? The recently added, the African Energy Summit created a lot of awareness to the African governments, to African industries, to African employers, and everybody on the importance for the African countries to take an active role in climate mitigation and adaptation. Although we do not contribute much of greenhouse gas emissions, we should not actually release any. We should aim to reduce the ones that we are releasing in whatever industry that we are in. So if the executive have a buy-in and they see the bigger picture and they understand the benefits of sustainability, that's a very good starting point. The other one is to start with a skills gaps analysis. Check how much people know about the environment and how they can be able to conserve the environment, what skills they already have and what they don't know, so that you can consider coming up with specific goals and objectives to start adapting the environment into a green organization. There is even something we call green manufacturing, using technologies that are not harmful to the environment. There is something we call green agriculture if you are in the agricultural sector. In the energy sector, it's straightforward, green energy, okay? How can you come up with specific objectives for the organization as a policy for us to be able to achieve? Then we align to the employees' development goals. Employees need to be trained, okay? Employees need to grow in their career. Employees need to feel recognized. So if we have specific objectives that we want to achieve as an organization for greening our industry, why can't we align those to employee development goals? And we give them some of their goals and the key performance indicators towards greening the environment. Coming up with innovative ideas where people can bring ideas to the table to show you how you can be able to transform your industry to be more green. That is aligning employees' development goals to the company goals for greening the industry. Determine the right type of training for the people you want to develop, create targets and structure for learning, develop SMART goals for each one of them, and turn training into an action. I know we go for so many trainings and we want to learn, which is important. The most important thing in any kind of training that you said to your employees, make sure they turn it into action. You have been trained as a champion for greening this industry. So what are we going to do? Where are we going to start from? Let's track the results also, and let's also be able to celebrate the win. So this is a simple illustration on where we can be able to start. And the most important place to start is actually executive buy-in. If the top does not understand what is happening and they're not supportive, then we might struggle to achieve what we need to achieve. I'm almost coming to an end, but before I close, there are general recommendations that I would like to propose. And Milka mentioned in the beginning, I've conducted 2 studies in Kenya, and these studies are quite interesting. One was through KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and they wanted to understand the availability of local skills to support production of green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is a form of renewable energy that can be stored. Okay, can be able to produce electricity, can be able to produce a green fertilizer from ammonia. So that is both greening the grid for the electricity production and also production of cheaper fertilizer locally. So KEPSA wanted to understand, do we have local suppliers? Do we have the local skills? Do we have local capacity to be able to support green hydrogen production? The other research, and I have shared this with IHRM, is generation of green jobs in Kenya through adopting to technologies that are greening the economy. Through this, we have been able to list a number of recommendations, and these are important for the industries where we work, for the companies, for the training institutions, for the employers. And as we said, HR is at the center. All the companies we have in this country, you find a HR professional. Universities, HR people are there, and they participate in decision making. Okay, so for the companies, we must collaborate with the training institutions to align curriculum and upgrade curriculum to support the market relevant skills for a green economy. We have to train for the future. That is important. And the universities and the training institutions will not be able to produce market relevant skills if there is no collaboration with the industry. We are the people to tell the universities what kind of curriculum we need them to develop, so that when these people come to the market, they are ready to work. They have the right skills and attitude and knowledge for them to be able to perform. Internship. I know many organizations do this, but we should be deliberate. Internship should not just be a checking box exercise. It should be able to impart the knowledge and skills that we require for the current market. And that will help us reduce unemployment, and you have seen is a major problem in Africa. Okay, upskilling within the organization. And one area I want to encourage organizations to think about is upskilling in greening the economy, in greening our workplace. Okay, universities, collaboration again, linkage, okay, with the industry, upskilling and the professional development short courses. And these are important because these are the ones who invite professionals to the universities. Okay, and that kind of collaboration on short professional business courses, that is where knowledge that is relevant to the industry is also shared, apart from the theoretical knowledge that is equally important. Then the employers should take advantage of professional development courses available. And I know among the HR professionals, there are so many companies who provide professional development courses. These are important. Sometimes we feel that they are expensive, but it is more expensive not to train people. Okay, the world is changing and changing very fast. So if you don't train, people will be left behind. Employees should be able to take advantage of these courses, including myself and everybody else, okay? We should be able also to request for specific skills that we require. And one of the skills that is so important today are green skills, okay? Where can we find opportunities for us to learn more about green skills and how to transition? Okay, we should be able to keep up to date with the development with the industry via our networks. This is one of the most networking forums that we have, because we have, I think, 100+ attendance in this forum. This is a great network, and we can be able to develop serious policies to support our employers to transform. Of course, the government is critical and important, and part of our HR professionals work with government agencies, with the government, central and county. It is good to support development of national policies that support the use of renewable energy. Kenya, as I said, is leading, and we have developed so many policies that support renewable energy. If you read the New Energy Act of 2019, has a lot of details that support renewable energy. Today, there are also policies that support various technologies, and the latest, there is a working task force under the Ministry of Energy on production of green hydrogen, and that is the latest. These policies are important, but what is more important is actually to create awareness about these policies. That's what will support transition to renewable, sustainable, and green economy. Okay, provision of subsidized options for procurement of materials and assets that support local businesses, especially the assets, the resources, the materials that support a transition to a green economy, including tax holidays and supporting other technologies that are useful to conserve our environment. I want to stop at this to allow for discussions. And in conclusion, green jobs is the future. We need to bring together everyone, training institutions, government, private sector, to address the skills gap. Okay. Green jobs is about inclusive economic growth. Okay, to support climate mitigation adaptation. We need to make sure that Kenyans have the skills and experience needed for a green economy to be able to transition, and a policy shift that is going to support this transition. So thank you very much for listening to me. And I think we can have some discussions. Milka, would you like to read the next session for question and answer?
Thank you so much, Daktari. Indeed, we have to train for the future. Thank you for taking us through this special session. No, we had an event this week, actually, that ended on Wednesday at KICC. And allow me to read a comment from one of the delegates. This is from Sharon. Sharon says, I was at the summit, but this is even more relevant to the HR professionals. Thank you for breaking down this climate agenda to us. So that means you've done a good job. Sharon attended that big event that was at KICC. Actually, accessing that venue was not easy, but here it's easy to access. And you managed to break it down to a point that we are able to relate and understand it so well. So thank you so much. You started with divination. You gave us the divination of green job. You even went ahead and gave us an example, the electric car. Wale wa fuel car, tufikiria. Now electric car is all the way. Green HRM, we didn't know that we have such. Now we know, and you discussed it so well. So asante sana. So we would like to have some few questions. I know we have here Q&A, we have some. Daktari, are you able to see them from your side?
Yes, I'm able to see.
Yes.
Let me just go through. Yeah, let me see.
Thank you, Daktari. You can go ahead.
Oh yeah, there is one question here. Let me just read. Can gaining traction on creation of green job guarantee institution of carbon credits, hence financing? That's a very important but technical question. Credit finance is a different line of discussion, but for sure, creating green jobs will help an organization access carbon credits, because you are just supposed to track the amount of the ability for the organization to reduce greenhouse emissions, or the amount of carbon that you are reducing into the environment for you to be able to claim carbon credits. And the employees that you are working with, if they have the skills relevant for reducing the carbon that you release to the environment, or actually conserving the environment, and you can be able to track the amount of emission that you are supporting the world to reduce, then you can be able to sell the credits. So creating green jobs is one of the ways. Actually, they are the people who support the organization to access carbon credits. To give an example, if we employ a professional who is familiar and understands climate financing, understands the business of carbon markets, then there you go. You are able to claim carbon credits, and the organization gets some income. Okay. The other question, at the national or professional level, do we have any existing framework already guiding us on HR green agenda? The answer is yes. I am sure there are people here working with the Ministry of Labor and the government. There are two policies that have come across. One is by the Ministry of Labor. It's called the Green Jobs National Framework. Okay, it is still a draft, but that framework is very interesting. How the government is going to support the government institutions and also the private sector to develop a green jobs framework. All right. As I said, there are so many other policies through the Ministry of Energy, but the one for the Ministry of Labor is quite exciting. The ministry was supported by, I think, UNDP to develop a good framework for green jobs in Kenya. Where can one access ESCO document from the European Union? Simply, you can Google, you'll be able to get ESCO. Just Google ESCO, you'll be able to access the sites which can give you information. Mr. Mugo has asked me a very difficult question. What is the carbon footprint of a cloud computing and data center? Well, I'm afraid this is also another very specialized area. I could be having some idea, but I don't want to give a wrong answer, being a HR professional just like you. But this is an area that actually we can be able to read more about, and also understand people who understand the idea behind carbon footprint, okay, and how to track carbon footprint. They are people with the green skills. That's a green talent. Cloud computing, data analysis, use of remote working systems, those are green talents, those are green skills. As a HR professional, that's how I would look at it. If I'm employing a professional in the organization who is an engineer, but understands and is able to use the trackers for carbon footprint, is a person with a talent that we should be able to utilize. All right. Kindly share the links where we can get free or sponsored green skills training and certification. International Labour Organization website. Please go through the International Labour Organization website. You'll be able to access some of the resources that you may require. United Nations provides a lot of free trainings on green skills and also certification. The other link that you could check is Coursera. Coursera has exciting training programs, including green jobs and also greening the economy. What insights can you share regarding how ordinary HR managers in SME sector can help in aligning green goals with business objectives, not forgetting the dominant conservative principle of running businesses profits? This is an important question. All businesses, big or small, want to make profits. One area that you can be able to align green jobs objectives with profitability is efficient use of resources. If we show the employer how we are able to save the resources that we are using now, whether it is energy, water, raw materials, whatever it is, and show how this helps the organization to increase the profitability, there you go. You are able to align HR practices with the profitability for the organization. Okay. Faith is asking me what is the difference between green human resource management and traditional human resource management. Faith, when I was going through the slides, I have highlighted some areas that we need to be thinking about when we are thinking about green human resource management. And one area is in the recruitment phase, where we should be able to come up with job descriptions and job specifications that highlight some of the skills and talents that we need in our organization. Somebody who is already aware and has some skills on green energy transition, for example, or climate change adaptation and mitigation. A driver who have previously driven an electric vehicle. Then we are starting to move towards a green human resource management. Even the day-to-day practices, if we reduce the number of papers that we print and we encourage more virtual and online systems, that is part of the green human resource management. Thank you very much, Milka. And I saw that the ED joined and you wanted her to make some comments. I would like to save the few minutes remaining and hand the meeting back to you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. People are so excited. I'm going through the chat box. It's just that I can't read everything, but this topic came at the right time. HRs are happy. Some are wondering, we can even do discipline management. Is it through green job or through green? What that one? It's a good one. Thank you so much for that. So allow me, because of time, to invite the executive director, CHRP Qureshi Abdullahi, to make a comment before we officially close this session. ED, if you're there, kindly. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Asante sana. Thank you so much, Milka, Daktari. That was very insightful, the conversation. And I must say, we are the students of the moment. I have learned a lot in the last 1.5 years in terms of green HR, green economy, and I must say, Daktari, you have given us more than what I expected. So thank you so much. We all know that the first Africa Climate Action was hosted by our president. We followed the conversation, but if you realize and you go through what Daktari has just shared, this conversation cannot happen until we have the footing of HR there, because reduction of carbon involves people, and we are the people managers. coming up with the different ideas that we need to drive this, even the carbon credits. I know someone asked the question of, have we reached to that extent? And I will come back to you guys. I know there are some companies who are even cashing, provided you have recorded, you have, you've done your best in terms of reducing your carbon emission, then you can credit it in the market. And there are people who come and evaluate. There are standards that you have to put in place. At least that is what I picked when the conference was on. And there are already some sectors which are making money out of it. So it's going to be the next gold mine. And as Africans, we have the upper hand. In this call, we were about 160 of us plus 4 panelists, and we have been consistent in terms of how we are grasping this information. And you've seen, if you looked at the background of Daktari, myself, Milka, we are all in different locations and we're not moving. That means we're saving the environment. I know, and Daktari has mentioned that we are, the government, especially at the Ministry of Labor, which are represented in our council, are working on a policy in regards to green HR and skills, how to skill. Daktari, the 2 studies he did was very useful, and it's something that will be shared soon on our website so that you see what can you pick 1 or 2. And as we gear towards 2024 calendar, we've already discussed with Milka, we will be discussing more on how can we contribute to the climate action of what is now known as the Nairobi Declaration. What's the place of HR in all this? And we will look forward. I know there's someone who said, Daktari, this should be converted into a training. Yes, I agree. This was a sensitization. And let's see if we can come up maybe a full day, 2-day training on how a green HR should look like, what the organizations should look for in terms of sustainability. You've seen his study. There's something for the government, private sector, the education sector in terms of what are they offering in their places of competency building. So the time is now. I have no doubt that you all picked something and you will go back and share. I know for those, before I hand it back to Milka, for those who are requesting for the recording, if you've signed in for this, the recording will be sent. We will not be sharing slides because that is an intellectual property. Daktari will tell you how much effort is put. At the end of the day, our interest is on the learning bit more than the slides, but this will be available on our YouTube, and anyone who signed in will receive the link for you to play back into your emails. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much for supporting the Institute. Thank you so much for saving the environment. And we look forward. There's a gentleman who mentioned that we need to put KPIs, and that is the way how we can actually reward. What kind of energy are you using? If you are into recruitments, are you receiving on email or you're asking people to deliver a paper? Are you inviting people in person or you're asking them to join online? Those are the Kaizen way of doing things. Small steps, but it is very efficient. Asanteni sana. Let's plant more trees. If you are within the HR sector, when you plant a tree, please tag us. Please send to us. It's not just about planting, it's about growing. Let's turn our environment green. Let's support the government agenda. Actually, that is for us as humanity, because how do we want to see our world to look like as we grow and as we leave our children behind? What kind of environment or what kind of world do we want to leave behind? And the way to go, whether it's in the energy sector, whether it's in the transport sector, whether it's in the private sector, whether it's in the financial sector, the government, we are the gatekeepers as HR professionals. Let's not forget, we cannot be left out in this conversation. We should have had a seat in those side tables. But I know when the next one happens, will play a key role, and we have to prepare for that now so that we position ourselves with Daktari and other like-minded that we can be heard. We were 150 of us here. We can create a movement. Green HR is the way to go. Let's reskill, let's upskill, and support the climate action change that the African leaders, through our President, His Excellency Dr. Ruto, has declared on Wednesday. Thank you. Back to you, Milka.
Thank you so much, Madam Edie. Thank you for the closing remarks. Thank you also, Daktari. I now understand you're passionate about this. Now I see, not understand, I see. Because this thing was planned yesterday. Edie, if you allow me to mention that, it was planned yesterday, and how it was planned, and it has happened successfully. Actually, I still don't understand, because Daktari has brought it out so well, meaning he's ready and is passionate about this thing. He was informed actually yesterday. Daktari, you can say, you can prove me wrong, all right? Tell these people, when were you informed about this event? Today's
actually, it was a crash program by ED. Via WhatsApp yesterday to prepare for this video entry. So I appreciate it.
Yes, I wanted the delegates to know that you were informed yesterday and you've done a great job. Thank you so much for that. I believe this is just the beginning. We'll still have more sessions on this. And thank you so much, Edie, for organizing for this, for planning. It was actually your project, that's what I have to say. So this marks the end of our session. And I believe there's no any questions that you are logging out. Yes, Daktari, you managed to cover everything. And for the chats, the comments, they're very positive. And also thank you, Edie, for the clarification on the presentations. So as you've been told, you get the recordings, but not the slides. So from our end, thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you so much, Daktari, for the presentation and for the short notice you are here for HRM. That means you are ready to support the profession. Thank you so much, Edie, for the closing remarks. Asanteni sana. Have a blessed evening. See you next time. Enjoy your weekend. I know today is Friday and it's 6 p.m. Bye from my side. See you.
Bye, everyone.